thought I was safe with my secret affair when he pretended he had no idea about it, but then... Hey Reddit, I used to be a huge fan of this app years ago, but it's been a while since I've actually been on here. I made a very huge mistake yesterday and the guilt has been eating into me. I messed around with my husband's boss and I do not know how to tell my husband or if I should even tell him. I'm a little scared, to be honest. I feel like my husband might never forgive me again. It was just a mistake, and if I could honestly turn back the hands of the clock, I would. I would never betray my husband. A little bit of backstory on us. My name is Olivia, and my husband's name is Nathan. Nathan and I met in high school, and we immediately developed a relationship. We liked each other, and we matched quite well. It was great, really. We started dating all the way up into college and even past our graduation, but we only got married a few months ago. Not because of anything, but because we had been saving money for our marriage as we wanted it to be great. That was why it took so long to get married. I am 27 years old and my husband Nathan is 26. We both work, but Nathan earns way more than I do. As a result of that, we adjust the bills, payments, and chores to fit that. I cover 30% of the bills and Nathan covers 70%, but that also means that I cover about 60% of the chores, while Nathan covers the remaining 40%. It is an arrangement that has worked for us for a very long time, as we have been living together for years. Now things were really great between us, apart from our intimacy. We had been having a bit of a dry spell for several reasons. First of all, Nathan was very busy because of his job. He tried, honestly, but the workload and the pressure of saving for a house weighed heavily on him. It was like he was carrying the weight of our future on his shoulders. Another reason was my weight. I am no fool, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I knew I was overweight. I'd gone through a really dark phase in my life after my dad died. We had been very close, and the loss hit me badly. I started spiraling, lost my job, and turned to food as my escape. Thankfully, Nathan stayed by me despite it all, and never once did he complain. He helped me get into therapy, and even though it took me a while to finally start helping myself, he was with me throughout it all. I'm still overweight, but I'm trying my best to help myself. Nathan had been the one covering all the bills and house chores, so the moment I got a job, I started contributing the 30%. I do feel that ever since then, our intimacy has dwindled down so much. I feel like he does not find me attractive anymore because of my weight. Gaining weight is pretty easy, but losing weight is the hard work. Anytime I try to engage him in intimacy, he is either too tired or not in the mood. It's not just about physical attraction, it's about feeling desirable and wanted. I miss that connection we used to have, where we could just be ourselves and enjoy each other's company without these barriers. Nathan's busyness also became a source of resentment for me. It felt like he was always occupied with work or some project, and that left little time for us to connect intimately. I started to feel neglected and unimportant, like I was second to everything else in his life. Adding to my frustration was the fact that Nathan remained in great shape while I struggled with my weight. He hadn't let himself go like me. He knew how to control his portions and stick to a healthy diet. That was something I found myself resenting about him. It was a constant reminder of my own struggles and failures in managing my weight. Nathan would often try to compliment me, telling me how beautiful I was and how much he loved me just the way I was. While I appreciated his words, they didn't resonate with me because I didn't feel beautiful in my own skin. I struggled to accept my body and how it had changed over the years. I even decided to join the gym because I hoped it would help me shed some weight and boost my confidence. However, gymming wasn't as easy as people made it seem. It was a constant battle with myself. I had to force myself to push through workouts and try to stay motivated. And despite all these months of effort, the scale barely budged, and I felt so discouraged. I knew it wasn't just the gym's fault. It was also my own struggle with controlling what I ate. I tried to be mindful of my portions and make healthier choices, but it was challenging. Food had been my comfort during tough times, and breaking those habits was a real struggle. The combination of Nathan's busyness, his fit physique, and my own weight issues created this huge rift between us. I felt like I couldn't measure up to his standards, and it weighed heavily on our relationship. Nathan noticed how much I hated my body, especially when it came to controlling what I ate. When we ate together, he gently nudged me to take smaller portions, saying my body would adapt over time. It was kind of him, but I resented it. I knew deep down that Nathan was only trying to help me and support me in achieving my goals, but I couldn't help but resent him for it. It felt like he was policing my food intake, and it made me feel inadequate and frustrated. I wanted to be able to make these choices for myself, without someone constantly monitoring what I ate. I knew he did it out of concern, but still it felt like he was micromanaging my meals. At times I would push back against his suggestions, insisting that I knew what was best for me. Of course, this only worsened the rift between us, even though I knew he meant well. Things continued in this strained manner for a while. When Nathan had some free time and suggested a date night or watching a movie together, I often shut down the idea. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was only doing it out of courtesy, not genuine desire. Even when he invited me to join him at the gym, I would get defensive and angry. It felt like he was indirectly calling me fat, and that hurt. During a rough patch, I got super paranoid and started thinking Nathan might be cheating, even though he never showed any signs. I snooped through his phone, laptop, and even his emails, and even got a friend to spy on him at work, but found nothing. It was just my anxiety running wild, making me doubt everything. I knew Nathan wasn't the cheating type too. It was just my mind playing tricks on me. During that time, Nathan mentioned there would be a work party or dinner. At first I said no because I wasn't feeling up to it. Nathan just went along with it, which weirdly made me mad. It was like he was okay with me not going because he thought I'd make him look bad. Maybe he thought I was too fat and that I'd embarrass him there. So I changed my mind and said I'd go. Nathan didn't argue, which surprised me. On the day of the party, I put on my outfit, Nathan did too, and off we went. Surprisingly, I had a blast. I half expected judgmental looks or snide comments about my weight, but everyone treated me normally. It was a breath of fresh air. I indulged a bit, enjoying the food and drinks. As the night wound down, Nathan went to chat with his friends for a bit before we left. That's when his boss came over. I knew of Nathan's boss, but hadn't interacted much with him. He was friendly, and his charm drew me in. He suggested we dance, and though I hesitated, I agreed. The dancing was harmless, or so I thought. I noticed Nathan turned to glance at us briefly, and he frowned like he wasn't glad I was dancing with his boss, but I brushed it off as nothing. As we danced, his boss's compliments boosted my confidence. He was funny and charming, and he made me forget my insecurities for a while. When the dance ended, he surprised me by giving me his personal card. He told me to text him. I didn't expect it, but I took it because I felt flattered. As we left the party, I resolved to toss the card in the car and forget about it. I figured I'd mention it to Nathan casually, just to be transparent. When Nathan joined me after saying his goodbyes, I asked him about his reaction to seeing me dance with his boss. He brushed it off and said his boss was an odd and flirtatious person, nothing more. Once we reached home, I found myself holding onto the card instead of discarding it as planned. I didn't even tell Nathan like I had initially planned to. The idea of contacting Nathan's boss was on my mind, and despite telling myself I would throw it away, curiosity got the better of me. I thought about it for hours, even after Nathan and I had gone to bed. Eventually, I couldn't resist the urge and sent a quick message to his boss. I waited for a few minutes, but I didn't get a reply, so I went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Nathan's boss. It was a simple message, but that was what sparked a flurry of texts between us. He made me feel wanted in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. His compliments about my appearance, including my weight, struck a chord with my insecurities. Soon I was up to him about my struggles and doubts, and he always responded with understanding and reassurance. We started talking even more, and we were even outright flirting with each other. Nathan started noticing that I was spending more time on my phone than usual, and he asked about it. I brushed him off, of course, and lied that I was busy because I had just recently gotten into content creation. Surprisingly, Nathan accepted my excuse without much further questioning, although it was obvious he was very curious about it. Nathan's boss seemed to understand me in a way Nathan hadn't in a long time. I loved his attention and validation. After a few days of our crazy flirting and chatting, Justin, as I'll call Nathan's boss to protect his privacy, suggested meeting up for coffee. I instantly agreed without even any hesitation or even thinking about it. It had been ages since I had a proper outing. While I still kept in touch with friends, I had distanced myself from social gatherings, especially after my weight gain. I often rejected invitations to go out, even when they included both Nathan and me. I felt very self-conscious and ashamed of my appearance. Our coffee date was very pleasant and I enjoyed it a lot. Justin was charming and easy to talk to, and after we finished our drinks, he casually suggested we head back to his apartment. Initially, I was hesitant, but convinced myself that it was harmless. I reasoned that we would just watch a movie or two, and I would maintain a clear boundary. But obviously, that's not what happened. I ended up crossing lines I never thought I would. We headed back to his apartment, and I noticed that it was a bit dirty, but otherwise comfortable. He assured me that he hadn't had time to clean, that he wasn't married yet, and that he didn't have a partner, so it was just him. We chatted for a while and started watching a movie, but before I knew it, one thing led to another, and we were now sitting very close to each other. His hands started creeping up my thighs, and I honestly couldn't control myself. We started making out, and then we moved to his bedroom, where we then proceeded to have sex repeatedly. After we hooked up, I felt like a complete idiot. Justin's attitude changed instantly. He was all friendly and charming before. It was as if a switch had just flipped in Justin's head. He suddenly told me I needed to get up and leave because his roommate would arrive soon. I was surprised because he had initially told me that he lived alone, and he didn't even have a girlfriend or anybody. And now all of a sudden he had a roommate. I asked him about it, and he said he must have made a mistake. I quickly got dressed. I was now feeling regret creeping in. Justin didn't even bother walking me out. He just rushed me to leave. I had to call an Uber because my car was still at home with some issues Nathan promised to fix in the evening. While sitting in that Uber, all I could think about was how dumb I was to get myself into that situation. When I got home, Nathan still wasn't back, which was a relief in a way. I took a quick shower, changed into comfy clothes, and made myself something to eat. I just could not shake off the feeling of regret and guilt that was weighing me down. I decided to shoot Justin a text, telling him off for how he treated me. I said he shouldn't have rushed me out and been so rude. I waited for a reply, but nada. It was like a slap in my face. By the time Nathan returned home, I had gone through a roller coaster of thoughts and feelings. It hit me hard that I wanted to save my marriage, to fix the mess I'd created. I knew confessing to Nathan might destroy everything, but I also couldn't bear the weight of this secret eating away at me. I took a step forward by cooking dinner for us. I was really hoping to bridge the gap I'd created. I apologized sincerely, and to my surprise and relief, Nathan appreciated my effort and accepted my apology. That happened yesterday. I'm currently on my lunch break and writing this because I haven't really been able to concentrate. I don't know what to do. I feel like if I do not tell Nathan, guilt will continue to eat at me, but I also cannot tell him because I do not want him to dump me. As for Justin, he has blocked me. He didn't reply to my text last night, and when I checked this morning, it was pretty obvious that he had blocked me, so there's that. I would really appreciate any help or advice on how to go about fixing this. Update. Hey Reddit, wow, my post has blown up way more than I ever anticipated. It's been 2 days since I posted, and the response has been overwhelming. I've tried my best to read through all the comments, both positive and negative. I've also received a flood of DMs, some supportive and others not so much. I want to address the negativity first. I understand that some people think I'm delusional or stupid for sharing my story after cheating on my husband. I just needed a place to rant and clear my head, hence why I posted. Some people also said this had to be rage bait because I sounded so delusional. Let me be clear, this is my reality right now, and I'm not here to provoke or incite rage. I appreciate the constructive criticism and the kind words equally. The majority of comments advised me to own up and tell my husband about what happened. While I understand where that advice is coming from, after much reflection and even consulting my elder sister, I've decided against it. My sister suggested that it might be best to move forward without divulging this to my husband, especially since Justin has cut off all contact with me by blocking me. I've taken her advice to heart, and I'll be focusing my energy on rebuilding my marriage and moving forward. Thank you all for your time and insights. I may not update again unless something significant occurs. For now, I'll be putting my efforts into repairing the damage I've caused in my marriage and looking towards a better future for me and my husband. Take care, everyone. Update. Hey everyone, I wanted to share a little update on what's been happening since my last post. I've been putting a lot of effort into rebuilding my relationship with my husband. One of the things I've been focusing on is creating more quality time together. I've been trying to get him to go out on date nights with me, and thankfully he's been receptive to the idea. We've had some really nice moments reconnecting and enjoying each other's company. Another area I've been working on is taking charge of household responsibilities. I've completely taken over the chores, and honestly, I don't even want my husband to help out anymore. It's my way of showing him that I'm committed to making things right and easing some of the burdens he's been carrying. On a personal level, I've been hitting the gym more regularly. It's been a really tough journey, and I still struggle with controlling my portions and maintaining consistency, but I'm determined to achieve my fitness goals. I dream of having a body that I feel confident and comfortable in, and I'm taking steps every day to get there. Now I want to address something that's been bothering me. I've been receiving some really hurtful messages from people calling me names and making derogatory comments about my weight. Some people have been calling me fat cow, and that fat people are the worst kind of people. To those individuals, I want to say this: your words are cruel and unnecessary. Fat shaming has no place here or anywhere else. We're all on our own journeys, and kindness and understanding should always be our default mode. If you can't offer that, then please keep your negativity to yourself. I appreciate the support and encouragement from those who have been kind and understanding throughout this process. It means a lot to me, honestly. Update. Hey everyone, I'm back with another update on what's been happening in my life. I know I said my last update might be the final one, but many of you have expressed interest in hearing more about my journey, so here I am. A lot of you all said my marriage was a ticking time bomb, but joke's on you all, it's solid. It's been about 5 days since everything went down, like the whole cheating and stuff, so obviously there haven't really been any significant developments. But my husband and I have been having conversations about starting a family and the possibility of me becoming a stay-at-home mom. This is something we've both been considering for a while, and now feels like the right time to take that step. As for my job, well, let's just say my boss hasn't always been the most supportive or understanding person. I've decided to leave and will be giving my notice soon. I'll probably give just a week's notice since my boss doesn't really deserve a formal 2-week notice. It's a job I've come to despise, and I'm looking forward to leaving it behind. Everything seems a bit all rushed and quick, but it just feels right. Once I'm home, I plan to start focusing on trying for a baby, and then preparing for the arrival of our baby, and being there for them as they grow up. Nathan, my husband, also recently got a promotion, which means he'll be in a better position to provide for us financially. This gives me peace of mind knowing that I can devote myself fully to our family without worrying about financial problems. So that's where things stand at the moment. I'll keep you all updated if anything major happens. Update. I'm here with an update that I never thought I would have to share. You were all right. My marriage, which I thought was on the mend, turned out to be a ticking time bomb, and it finally exploded. You all were absolutely right. My husband knew. He knew all this time, and he strung me along like an idiot. And he even made me quit my job. I feel so distraught right now, I don't even know what to say. It all happened yesterday, or I should say earlier yesterday. My mother-in-law invited us over for dinner. It was a seemingly innocent family gathering. We went there, and everything seemed fine at first. We were chatting up and catching up because my husband's parents didn't really live very close to us, so we didn't see them regularly except on family functions or events. My husband, in the calmest tone that sent shivers down my spine, casually mentioned that I had cheated on him with his boss. It was like a punch in the gut. I froze. Everyone froze. It was shocking, of course. That wasn't just something you blurted out. And the way my husband had calmly said it as if he was just telling his mom about the weather. My father-in-law then asked him what he meant, and that was when my husband turned to me and told them to ask me. He told me that I was stupid if I thought I could just cheat on him with his boss of all people, and that I could get away with it. I tried to deny it at first, asking where he got such an idea. He didn't mince words. He told me that his boss was promiscuous and wasn't the kind of person to hide his wins. He said the boss had literally all but announced it to everyone in the office that he had slept with me, and that it was embarrassing having his coworkers come tell him what the boss had said. He said that at first he didn't want to believe the boss, and that he had come home that night, and after I had gone to bed, he had checked my phone, and that I had tons of messages, planning to meet up, blatantly flirting with him and even messaging him after I had slept with him. He said I was stupid, and I was even more stupid if I thought I would be able to get away with it. This was when I started crying because I felt so overwhelmed and shocked. I started crying because I genuinely didn't know what to do. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He told me that we were getting a divorce and that he had just been waiting for a while till he was in a better place mentally. Then he apologized to his parents and he left. Mind you, we came in the same car, so that meant I was stranded without a ride. I was so embarrassed I hurried after him, but he just left me and drove off. I was too ashamed to ask anybody for a ride home, so I had to call an Uber. I felt so humiliated, ashamed, and lost. However, when I called the Uber and got home, our apartment was empty, bare of everything except my clothes. He had moved out while we were at his parents' house. But how had he been able to move out when we were both at his parents' house together? I had a breakdown right there. I sunk to the floor and cried uncontrollably. I've been trying to reach him, but he's not responding. He is not taking my calls or my texts. His friends are avoiding me too. They are also not responding to my calls or my texts. I'm left here alone, trying to make sense of everything. I don't know what to do or where to go from here. I had to spread some of my clothes and sleep on the bare floor because I was just too tired to even move or even leave the house. I never thought my life would unravel like this, but here I am, facing the consequences of my actions. This fallout from my marriage feels like a wrecked battlefield with no clear path forward. I guess you all can gloat and laugh now. Bring out the drums rolls. I can already hear the "I told you so" comments coming, and I'm just here wondering where to even start picking up the pieces. But I do seriously need some advice. What do I do? Where do I go from here? Is there any way to even salvage my marriage? How the fuck did he manage to make such a clean break while we were all together at his parents' house? It doesn't add up, and I'm sure his friends must have played a role in helping him pull off this well-teamed escape. I'm sure he must have been planning this for a while. And if there is no way to salvage my marriage and we do go to court, what am I going to get out of the marriage? We were saving up to buy a house, but we hadn't bought it yet because I was a bit slow on savings. Obviously, he earns way more than I do. The lease is in my name because I had rented it first and then he moved in with me. We didn't even bother getting his name added on the lease because we thought there was no need. But everything in the apartment belongs to him, and that was why he took it. When he had moved in, we lived together for years before we decided to throw away or give away much of our old stuff and replace them all with new stuff after my dad died. Nathan felt like it would be nice because cleaning and getting new stuff always made someone feel better. Like the TV, the refrigerator, the bed, all those shit. We replaced them and he had been the one to pay for them all because I didn't even have a job then. Like I said before, I was really struggling then. So everything that he took belongs to him. He even took my car. It is in his name, yes, and he has been the one making payments on it. But still, he took it. How did he take it? We have 2 cars. That means someone must have helped him drive the other. So yeah, that has all been what I've gone down. I'm honestly going to try and get something to eat right now because I am hungry, and I couldn't care less about my weight now. I'm probably going to come back here and update. And if you do have any helpful advice for me or something like that, I would really appreciate it if you could drop it down in the comments. And please, if you know you're going to comment something vile and wicked or come into my DMs to taunt and laugh and rub salt on my wounds, then please do not. I might swing back here to update as things unfold. And like I said before, if anyone has constructive advice or helpful insights, please do share them. But if it's just going to be negativity or mockery, I'd rather not engage with that right now. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been 2 days, and while not much has changed, there have been some developments I want to share with you all. First off, a huge thanks to everyone who gave me solid advice, especially about seeking therapy. I'm definitely going to do that once things settle down a bit. As for my job, well, let's just say I didn't leave on the best of terms. I pretty much gave my boss an indirect fuck you and a piece of my mind, so I doubt there's any chance of salvaging that job. Once I'm in a better place mentally, I'll start looking for a new one. A lot of you suggested letting go of the marriage and going for a divorce, and that's exactly what's happening. I tried to work things out, but Nathan isn't interested. He's fixated on the fact that I cheated and lied, conveniently forgetting his own scheming during that week. He made sure to leave in the absolute worst way because he wanted me to feel horrible. Seriously, who's the bigger jerk here? Nathan finally reached out, but there wasn't much to say. He claimed everything he took from the apartment was rightfully his since he bought it. Can't argue with that. But I did express my disappointment that he didn't give me a heads up before I quit my job. I tried to bait him into admitting he planned it all, because I was hoping it could serve as evidence in court, but he's playing it smart and denying everything in texts. He's hinted that I'll be served soon, probably divorce papers. My in-laws are radio silent. It's pretty obvious whose side they've taken. I haven't even told my own family yet because I'm still processing everything. Without Nathan's income, I can't afford the lease alone, so I'll have to find a roommate or find a new place altogether. I'm a mess right now, honestly confused and distraught. Nathan did also admit that his buddies helped him move out and clear the apartment while we were at his parents' place. That was like a punch to the gut, so his friends were part of this mess. My eating has gone off the rails. I'm stress eating like there's no tomorrow. I'm ignoring portion control completely. It's crazy because I am now blowing through my savings faster than I thought possible. Anyway, that's where things stand for now. I'll keep you updated if anything big happens. And to the nice folks out there, thanks a ton. To the haters and the ones screaming, "I told you so," seriously, just stop. You're not helping anyone. And to the ones damning me and commenting shitty stuff, you have a place in hell waiting specially for you. Update. Hey Reddit, how are y'all doing? Almost 2 weeks now. I've been updating quite frequently because venting here feels therapeutic. Here's the rundown of what's happened in these 2 weeks. First off, I got served with the divorce papers. No surprises there, and I'm fine with it. There's not much to divide, so whatever Nathan's terms are, I'm just going along with it. It's becoming clear to me that Nathan was seriously manipulative and vindictive. Who in their right mind hides something like that for a week just to exact revenge? Only someone pretty twisted, someone like a psychopath. I reached out to my siblings, especially my elder sister, who advised me not to confess to Nathan in the first place. I also talked to my mom. They were shocked but understanding. They get that we all screw up sometimes. Money is becoming a concern, though. I do have savings, but if I take on the lease and rent by myself without a job in sight, I'll burn through it fast. Plus, being on my own means no one's around to guilt trip me about my eating habits, which isn't helping my weight goals. I'm supposed to be losing weight, not gaining it. My sister suggested I break the lease and move back in with our mom. I talked to mom and she's okay with it. So I informed the landlord, gave notice, packed up my stuff, mostly clothes, called an Uber, and made the move to mom's place. It's been about 3 days and it's honestly a relief. Sure, I messed up and they let me know, but they also understand. Now I'll be heading to court soon, so I won't be updating during that time. I'm not sure if it's legal or not, but I'd rather not take any chances. I'll fill you all in once it's all wrapped up. Thanks for the supportive DMs, workout plans, and healthy food tips. It means a lot. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been ages, almost 4 months since my last update. Sorry for the delay. Life got hectic and I kind of forgot about this space. A lot has happened and I feel it's time to fill you in before I move on for good. This will likely be my final post here, as I'm ready to close this chapter and focus on the future. The negativity here has been overwhelming. There have been positive comments, yes, but the negative ones definitely overshadow the positive ones, and I don't want that toxicity in my life. So the divorce happened. There wasn't much to divide since we both had jobs and he contributed majorly to our expenses. No shared property or major assets. It was a straightforward split, but it still hit me emotionally. I had a quiet moment in the bathroom to cry for a bit and gather my strength. It kind of hurts that Nathan moved on so quick, but what can I say, life goes on, I guess. It's hard to fathom how someone I've spent more than half of my life with could seemingly forget about our history and move on so rapidly like it never mattered. Despite the negative comments, I get it. I've accepted my mistakes and learned from them. Your negativity can't bring me down. I'm moving forward. I appreciate the support and well wishes from those who offered them. Thank you all. I wish you all the best in life, and I hope things turn around for me as well. I won't repeat the same mistakes. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been a while, and I know I said the last time would be my final update, but I genuinely promise this is going to be it. It's been about a month since I last checked in. I did mention deleting the app, but I didn't follow through. Instead, I randomly decided to come back and see what's been happening in the comments and DMs. The response has been overwhelming since this post blew up more than I expected. People kept asking for updates, and I've even seen snippets of my story on TikTok and Instagram, those narrated videos with Minecraft backgrounds. So here's what's been going on in my life. First off, I managed to shed a few pounds. It's not a drastic change, and I'm still overweight, but I'm glad I didn't gain weight and instead made progress. I had taken a break from the gym for a while, but I got back into it about a week ago, and I'm determined to stay consistent. It's tough, especially with stress eating creeping in, especially after everything with Nathan. I've also been considering therapy. I haven't booked an appointment yet, still searching for the right therapist, but it's something I'm actively looking into. On the job front, it's been challenging. I've been applying for various positions, but most seem to offer minimum wage, which I'm not keen on accepting given my qualifications and experience. I've been exploring call center jobs for now, but I'm committed to finding a better paying job and cutting ties with these lower paying options once I do. So this is genuinely my last update. I won't be able to keep coming back to share every detail of my life. Thanks to everyone for the support and interest. It's been quite a journey, and I'm optimistic about what lies ahead. Goodbye, and I hope you all have a good life. Sometimes we find ourselves falling in love and being committed to people who do not have a mutual feeling towards us. No matter how hard you tried to show them the true meaning of love, but they preferred looking for it outside their marriage, breaking the vows they had made in front of their families, friends, and God himself. It gets even worse when they get into marriage knowing very well that they were not ready for the commitments. Some break their vows just because they were seeking for fun outside their marriage. What do you call that? I had thought I had chosen well. I thought I had found the one, only to find out that I had been a fool for the longest time. I was deceived by the person that I had given myself to. She was not ready for the commitment like I was. She should have said something. She should have told me that she was not ready not to lead me on. These are the things that cause us depression as men. Does anyone know the feeling or a glimpse of what I was going through? If there is, how did you deal with it? I would always ask myself where I had gone wrong, what it that I was not doing, was I not satisfying her enough? I was failing to get answers no matter how hard I had tried to come up with answers. Maybe she saw me as less of a man that was the only relevant answer I had managed to come up with. Though it didn't make sense, it was the most relevant one that I had come with. Let me tell you about what actually happened. I, M40, am naturally a quiet and reserved guy. I respected my peace, which was why you wouldn't find or see me arguing most of the time. I try by all means to keep and maintain the peace around the environment I am in. So my ex-wife and I met a while back when I was working at the mines called Bowlby Mine in the United Kingdom. I would go home to Cleveland once every 6 months, so the time I met her, I was coming from work. It had been a long time since I'd been home. So I was in town, in one of the retail stores in my hometown, doing some grocery for my family. That time I had been gone for the whole year. I couldn't get a chance to go back home because I was the miner's supervisor, so I had to oversee everything that was happening at work and to make sure that the workers did their jobs perfectly. So I saw this beautiful lady. She was in the store also going with her blind grandmother. As she was busy picking things, the grandmother went to another grocery aisle while she was still looking at products to buy. When she turned, she didn't see her grandmother, which made her panic. So I approached her and told her that her grandmother had gone to another aisle. She rushed there, leaving the shopping cart alone. I then took it upon myself to follow her. I found her arguing with her grandmother. I then disturbed them to give her the shopping cart she had left when she was looking for her grandmother. She appreciated the kind gesture. That time, I had just finalized my divorce with my ex-wife. It was a very hard time for me because I was out there in the mines working for us and our family, but she couldn't wait for me to come back. She moved on, and the worst part was that I found out that she was dating my neighbor. That was the worst betrayal I had ever experienced in my life. Fast forward, I bumped into this beautiful lady again as I was taking a walk around my hometown. We started talking. From that moment, we just clicked. Then we exchanged numbers and started getting along. She would text me whenever she needed help with her grandmother, only when I was around. We communicated a lot over the phone when I went back to work. Our communications were great, no lies. She made me smile and always managed to brighten up my day when I had a rough one at work. I fell for her the day we started communicating. She was able to soften my heart, and she made me feel complete. I worked hard to get my early retirement. That time I was 32, and I had wished to retire or find another job not far from my hometown, then get married at 35. I had already pictured myself spending my whole life with her, starting our own family. But I guess some wishes and dreams are not always supposed to be fulfilled. Did I really count chickens before they hatched? A year later, I went back home. Things were really hard for me because I had just lost my mother, and I was not able to be present on her send-off. It was really hard working in the mines because when you are inside the mine shaft, you cannot connect and communicate with people who are outside. We were in the shaft for about a week. It was hectic. So when I managed to get outside, I had found so many missed calls and messages from Catherine, my wife, F38, and my family. The first thing I thought of when I saw all the messages and missed calls, I decided to call Catherine first because I still wanted her to be my girlfriend. Not just a friend, but I wanted more, so I had to try by all means to make sure that I get here, and I gave her enough attention. After I had spoken to Catherine, I then called back my family to check up on them, and I was told that my mother was sick. That broke my heart because there was nothing I could have done. The only thing I managed to do was to send money and ask them to take my mother to a better doctor. But I guess even the better doctor was not able to treat and heal her. 2 weeks later, I was told that my mother didn't make it. The worst part was that she died asking for me. My heart was shuttered. After I heard about my mother's passing, I vowed to myself to resign from work that year and go back home, because I had realized that life was too short, so I had to spend it with the people that I love and are close to my heart. I didn't want to lose Catherine before I had even got her. Then a year later, I stepped down as a supervisor and resigned from the mine. I had saved enough money to at least start a small business that would grow over time. I went back home and started communicating more with Kathy. We grew much closer, and the connection was there. We started spending more time together. The money that I had saved, I started a car wash and fast food business. Kathy helped me on the fast food part because she had a lot of experience in cooking, and she was really business-minded. My family was very much supportive, even though my older sister didn't like the idea that I had taken Catherine to work with me while they were not doing anything. I didn't understand the jealousy because my sister was working at a nearby gadget shop as a manager. Everyone was doing something. My brother was always in the streets, so I couldn't use or take him to work for me and Kathy. On another hand, she was hustling to take care of her blind grandmother. She was doing nothing but selling her body in exchange for money. I was shocked when she first told me that, but I understood the pressure she was feeling because she was living with her grandmother who was blind and her sister's disabled teenager. Her story is really sad, which was what made me choose her to work with me so she can make a decent living. I couldn't allow her to continue selling her body because I had seen a wife and my lifetime partner in her. Well, Kathy and I were working very well together. Customers were coming. I was happy with the progress of my business. I had hired a few more girls and guys around the neighborhood to work for me. People were coming in numbers. Kathy and I got closer each day. Our friendship went on for a year until I couldn't hold myself anymore. I expressed my feelings to her. I was so nervous when I did that because I didn't know how she would receive it, but I had to man up and put all my feelings to the table so that she would see how serious I was about her. She was shocked about my confession, but there was no turning back. I had already laid my feelings on the table for her. She got mute for a moment and asked to think through about my sudden confession. I didn't know what was there to think about because if she had felt the same way as me, she would have given me the answer the same day. I think that was really childish of her. So I allowed her to take her time to think. That time she didn't come to work for 3 days. She was also not answering my calls and texts. I got worried and thought something had happened to her. So on the 4th day, she came to work and apologized for her behavior. I didn't care about her apologies, but I wanted to know her decision on the confession that I had made. I was shaking on my boots thinking she would reject me. I had never been in any relationship or tried to be in a relationship after my ex-wife, so it was somehow strange to me having to confess my feelings to a woman. For most of my adult life, I was in the mines working for my family, but I guess my ex didn't appreciate the hard work I was doing, so she got tired of waiting for me to come back home after 6 months or a year. I understood her impatience because I would come home for a month or two, then go back to the mines. It was draining her. So since I was back, I wanted to start my life afresh with Kathy. I don't know why I saw my future with her. I wanted her to feel important as a woman, not a sex toy that would be sold in the streets to make easy money. So she told me that she had thought through what I had confessed to her, and that she had fears that I would someday leave her. Plus, she was ashamed of her background. She thought she was not my type of woman I would want to be with. That confused me because if I would do all that she had said, I wouldn't have bothered expressing my feelings to her. To me, I saw a wife, a mother of my children, my life partner, She was my happiness. Yes, I had been in a relationship before, but it was not the same. I wanted her to feel some love and feel like a woman, not a doormat. She had a low self-esteem issue, which I was willing to also help her with so she could be herself and be free. But I guess you can take someone out of the street, but you can never take the street out of them, right? I had to assure her that her past meant nothing. All that mattered was that she was willing to change for her family and do better. Since then, the relationship was formed, though she had self-doubts, but we worked hard to ensure that she accepted herself as she was. She kept reminding me that she was not perfect, which was what would make us argue at times because I wanted her to be her better self. But she kept going back to where she was. I don't know what was done to her by the clients she was selling to, but whatever it was had really disturbed her. So it was not easy for her to trust any man, I think. Anyway, our relationship had ups and downs, just like all relationships. The only thing we would argue about was her low self-esteem and communication. Kathy was not an open person. She was secretive, so it somehow got into our relationship, but we managed to fix all that over time. 5 months later, she was slowly healing from whatever trauma she had gone through, though she was not opening up as I had wanted her to, but she was getting there, and our communication improved. I was happy about that because she was slowly becoming the person I had wanted her to be. I then discovered that she was a person who loved going out. She was adventurous, and she loved cooking. Her cooking skills were on another level. My fast food business was proof of that because she was the one in charge of cooking. I knew there and then that she was the wife material. She had all the qualities I wanted and needed in a woman, so I was sure that I had chosen well, and she would never change on me. You know, when you are sure that someone would never change on you and you get too comfortable in a relationship, to a point that you won't even believe it when things go south. So we dated for a year and a half, then I proposed to her on her birthday. My sister knew something deep about Kathy, but she wouldn't tell me, because I had seen how she reacted when I announced my engagement with Catherine. She was somehow angry and kind of disappointed in me. Her words were, "After your divorce with Anna and going back to the mines, I had thought you would come back a better person and choose, well, not the second season of what you married the last time." I didn't understand any of the things she had said because I had thought Anna got tired of waiting and found another man who would give her enough time and attention that I had failed to do. How was my situation with Anna connected to my engagement with Kathy? I think my sister was kind of bitter and jealous because she was going through a breakup with the father of her children. There was a lot that my sister was hiding from me, but I knew that whatever happened in the dark would always find its way to come out to light. Kathy and I got married after 6 months. I wanted to marry a month after I'd proposed to her, but she wanted to first look for her father's family members so they would be present in the wedding. I didn't understand why she was so interested in finding her father's family members, because if they had wanted to be present in her life, they would have, and it wouldn't be hard for them to attend the wedding. But what woman wants, she should get to keep her happy. I helped her look for her father's family, and to my surprise, they were not far from our hometown. They just didn't want to be present in her life, because even her father was alive and healthy. I was not surprised when the family she had spent the whole 6 months looking for did not come to the wedding. The wedding continued, though, and we had the best moment of our lives. I was happy that I had gotten a chance to spend my life with the woman my heart had chosen. I wished my mother was present to witness my happy ending. Not knowing that my happy ending would actually end sooner than I had expected, and my heart had chosen the worst breaker of it. Sometimes I don't understand why our hearts choose the wrong people to guide them, because I had given my heart to Catherine and she used it and stomped on it like a useless piece of paper. We got married when she was 25 and I was 27. I knew that that was the perfect age to get married to the love of your life. I mean, with Anna, I was still young, and I was still trying to find my feet after I was fresh out of college. So it was understandable that would do something like what she did. A couple of months into our marriage, I had been trying to get Kathy pregnant. We were not using any protection because as much as she was a body seller, she made sure to protect herself. Her words, not mine. And we had gone to the health department to check if we were both okay, and everything came back negative. That was when we started going raw. So I kept trying to make her fall pregnant, but nothing was happening, which made me suspicious, because if everything was fine with her, she would have gotten pregnant the time we tried for a baby. My mind kept telling me that she was hiding something. I didn't know what, but whatever it was sinister. But I trusted that she would never make me a fool, at least not like that. When I asked her why she was not falling pregnant, because it had been months since we had started trying, she would always avoid the question and change the topic. The matter got worse when I had suggested that we went to the doctor to check efficiently if she was really fine, but she just busted and wanted to bite my head off. I then knew that something was smelling fish in her actions, but I couldn't tell her that. So I backed off, as much as I wanted a child to grow my family name and my legacy. But it was her body after all, and I had to respect her and her decisions. That time we were still living at home with my family. We decided to take her late sister's child and her grandmother to live with us because they wouldn't be able to take care of themselves or even live alone. Well, more like I came up with that idea. She was a bit skeptical at first, but she eventually agreed after she had thought about her family's well-being, and I needed my wife next to me at all times. The business was going pretty well, and Kathy was still doing great in her kitchen department. The fast food business was growing because we had opened another spot outside our hometown. I was so proud of the woman she had become. I fell in love with her every single day. She kept me sane, and her communication progress was fully accomplished. Well, not fully, but she was getting there. One summer afternoon, we had decided to go out as a family. Well, more like taking grandma and the niece out for some fresh air. I wanted my sister and brother to tag along also, but my sister's bitterness was really on another level, and she didn't even try to hide it. And my brother was always on the streets as usual. I wished my family was still intact, just like how it was when my mother was still alive. Yes, my brother was always on streets, but he was always available when it was time to spend with the family. My own family had fallen apart, and it really hurt me, because I needed them. So I went out with my wife's family. We had a lot of fun. She was happy, and so was her niece and grandmother. That was all I had wanted to see on her face. Happiness and freedom. Her smile was my priority. And another thing, she had started attending college because she wanted to get a qualification in cooking, so she had sold their old house to pay for her fees. I supported her in her dreams. She made me proud to be her man and to call her my wife. I just don't know what went wrong, but something went wrong and ruined everything. She was doing a very good job in maintaining our family plus school and fast food business, as much as we had hired 2 people that would be hands-on in the kitchen department when she was at school. But she made sure that whenever she got time, she was taking charges. She loved to be in charge, and she was dedicated to everything she did. A couple of months later, her grandmother passed on in her sleep. None of us knew what had happened that had led to her passing. My wife was devastated. She was really hurt. She had shut me out to a point that she eventually went back to the Kathy She distanced herself even from her niece, so I had to take charge and take care of everything, including her niece and business. She grieved the wrong way, but I made sure to be there for her during the whole grieving period she was going through. I couldn't get through to her. It was like she had a demon or she was possessed, and that possession led her to making bad decisions. I was only relieved that she didn't lose herself to a point that she went back to selling her body. We had money, so she didn't need to do that. Her grandmother's passing really hurt her and her niece because the niece also started getting sick. Mind you, Kathy was wherever the place that she was in, so I had to take responsibility for her niece's health and make sure she got better treatment. It was really hard on me also because the niece couldn't bathe herself since she was disabled, so I had to do that. It was uncomfortable, I tell you, but I had to do what the best husband had to do. The time went by and I saw that Kathy was not getting over the grief period, so one day when she came back home intoxicated to a point that she couldn't even remember her name. So I called the rehabilitation facility that was around our hometown and admitted her to the facility. I had to do something right. I missed my wife. I was also not able to cope with all the responsibilities I had. By God's grace, I had managed to fix things with my sister, even though she was still not telling what her problem was with Catherine. But I was glad that I had gotten my sister back. She helped me a lot, especially with her niece. She was truly helpful. And my brother was slowly becoming available at home, which was another thing I was happy about. 6 months later, Catherine got discharged from the facility. I was happy about the improvement she had made. She became the person I fell in love with the day I saw her in the grocery store. She was doing way better than I had imagined. Even though her niece was happy to see her, my heart was full and complete. I had everything. My family, my wife, everything was just great, Little did I know that a cheater never changes its spots, right? I was so much in love and comfortable to even think of what would happen in the future. So at the car wash, I had hired an old friend of mine that I had grown up with to manage it during the time when I was home taking care of the niece. He was doing a very good job and the business was booming, the money was coming in, and I had nothing to worry about. A year later, or let me say 9 months later, I bought a small house not far from home because my wife was complaining about her peace and privacy. Her and my sister were not getting along, and it affected me somehow because I wanted my sister to get along with my wife, but on my side, that was not the case. It was like they were cat and dog. They were always arguing. So I decided to investigate the issue my sister had with my wife. My conscience kept telling me that whatever it was really dark and deep. I couldn't shake off the feeling that either my wife or sister once did something to someone else. I knew that my sister would never just hate someone without a valid reason, and their issue was not solvable. There was really no solution to it. So my solution was to find the root of the problem. During my investigation and findings, I found out that my wife was actually in a paid relationship, or must I say she had a transactional regular client, which kept buying whatever service she was offering. And that person turned out to be my sister's baby daddy. Unfortunately, my sister found out, and she was livid because whatever that it was had happened when my sister was pregnant. I remember very well that my sister was always in and out of hospital because of pregnancy complications due to the stress she was caused by her then boyfriend. I couldn't believe it, you know. I had blamed my sister for being bitter and thought she was jealous of my relationship because hers didn't work out, not knowing that my wife was actually the cause of all this. Well, not really my wife, because she didn't ask the boyfriend to come for her service, but he did it willingly. So both of them were victims in the situation. Time went on. My sister started warning me about Kathy, saying that she had heard that Catherine was two-timing me. I was like, here we go again. I didn't know what the problem was with my sister, really. Yes, my wife had done wrong by her, but she had no reason to hate her, because she didn't know that the client that had approached her was actually my crazy sister's unfaithful and selfish baby daddy. It had been a couple of months since we had moved out from home. My sister was not happy about that as usual. She had thought I was choosing my wife over her after what my wife had done to her. But that was not the case. I had chosen peace, and I was fed up hearing them barking at each other every day. Their arguments made me do something I had never thought I would have done to my sister. I slapped her and defended my wife because she was starting to be a nuisance, not knowing that I was making the biggest mistake of my life. So one day I received a call from my sister asking me to come home. She wanted to discuss something with me. So I drove home and found my sister along with one of the guys that were working at my car wash. I was confused about what was going on. In my mind, I had thought they were going to tell me that they were dating maybe. My sister then started telling me that she wanted to show me something, so I gave her a go-ahead. The guy took out his phone and told me to scroll on the pictures he was showing me. I was still confused about why they would call me to show me the pictures of my wife in a car wash. As I continued scrolling, one picture caught my attention. It was my wife looking cozy with the car wash manager. They were sitting too close to each other. Even a child would have seen that something was going on between the two. So I decided to take this guy with me because I was going to the car wash, since I was already around the neighborhood. When I got there, some of my trusted workers were not there, so I asked the guy where others were, and he told me that the manager had fired them. I was surprised and angry that he had fired people I trusted, so I went straight to the manager's office. But before I got in, I overheard the manager and my wife talking. My wife was sitting on his lap. The manager kept nodding. I then heard my wife telling the manager that she wanted him and asked him to allow her to enjoy the night together. My mouth got dry in an instant. As I was still eavesdropping, I heard the manager telling her that I was his childhood friend, so it was wrong of him to even agree to betray me. I didn't know why he was saying all that while he was busy chowing my wife. I trusted him. I trusted them, but both of them screwed me over. So I just decided to go back home without even asking the manager about the workers' issue. I was furious. I wanted to explode so bad, because both of them had fooled me. Not to mention that bitch I had called a wife. She had gone against her vows of being faithful and betrayed me. Not with a random person, but with the person I had considered a friend. Luckily, I had left the niece with my sister back at home. I couldn't allow her to see me angry. I was frustrated. I couldn't believe that I had been a fool the whole time. I wanted to find out when their affair had started, so I waited for my wife to come back home so I could go through her phone. Maybe I would find something tangible. A few hours later, she came back looking happy. I pretended that I was fine, as much as it was hard to pretend, but I had to, so that I would be able to gather evidence that she was really cheating. If I had asked her straight away, she would have denied it, even though I had seen and heard them. That day, she didn't even kiss or hug me like she would do when she came from wherever she would be. That day, she went straight to the bathroom to take a shower, saying she was tired and she wanted to wash off the sweat she had. So when she was in the shower, I got a chance to take her phone. Luckily, I knew her passcodes, so it was not a struggle to unlock it. What I found out when I paged her phone almost took me to an early grave. I couldn't believe it. The conversations they were having were mostly about me. She was degrading my capabilities as her man. She even told the guy that she was regretting marrying me because I was a boring guy and not sexually satisfying her. I was hurt beyond measure because I had thought everything was going well and our intimate moments were good. She never told me anything about her not being satisfied. As I continued going through their conversations, I found out that they once had a transactional relationship before. Surely that was when she was still selling her body. So she sold herself to the person I had been calling a friend and a brother for all the days of my life. Who are women, huh? Why are they so evil and venomous? These female species would really murder you and bury your body outside the yard, then live their lives like they had done nothing. But I couldn't allow her to just fool me like that and think I would not stay back and eat popcorn with her. The fact that they were even sharing their private pictures reeked me to the core. I hate people who treat other people as fools and think they could get away with everything. I forwarded the conversations and the pictures to my emails. I couldn't risk forwarding them to my phone because she would sometimes use it. Weeks later, I got tired of pretending, so I called our family lawyer and asked her to draft me divorce papers. Luckily, we were not married into any joint commune, so she would get anything that I had worked hard for. The only person who I thought about was the niece because she was going to be in the middle of everything. But I couldn't let them go free after they had made me a fool. So I had created a fake email account the day before. I went to the car wash to check how things were. When I got there, I fired the manager and asked him to check his emails. The look he had on his face was priceless. I then cut off our friendship since he had broken the bro code. I told him to forward them to the wife. When I got home, I found Catherine looking so livid. It was like she had seen a ghost or something. I greeted her and she started apologizing about everything and promised to change. Well, not all promises are meant to be kept because even when we started dating, she promised to be a better person than she was. Our whole relationship, she had been making promises after promises. Didn't she get tired? Because I got tired. A few days later, she was served with divorce papers. Then I asked her to sign them in peace. I was not going to be greedy. She was my wife, and she had a disabled niece, so I opted to leave her the house that we were staying in since she had sold her grandmother's house to pay for her studies. It was the least I could have done. I was not thinking of her well-being, but her niece's. She started throwing shades at me on social media, causing drama and calling me names, not thinking what he was doing was not going to affect me in any way. She wrote about my weaknesses as a man on a public platform and shared with the whole world how much she regretted marrying a non-satisfying man like me. As much as those things bruised my man ego, but I didn't care much about any of them. After our divorce was finalized, I transferred her money just to appreciate her for the help she gave me and the work she did in the fast food business. No lies, she had done an amazing job. So I had to show her that I saw her hard work and I appreciated it. A few days later, she called me and asked why I had cut her off everything, including the fast food business. I then told her that the money I had given her would have been enough for her to start her own business and fix her life for the sake of her niece. I didn't hate her. Even now I do not hate her, but I do not want our paths to ever cross again. She had fooled me too much. Was I too ignorant to even notice or pay attention to anything? Was I trusting too much? Please advise me.